بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي واجعل لي وزيرا من أهلي بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Welcome to the second session of our weekly dars or session that you can say in English. I try to speak some words of Urdu as well in this, and so that we give it a desi touch as well. Otherwise, just keeping it all in English, it was making me feel that I'm talking to nursery children, where you're just talking in English all the time. Unless there's a person sitting in front of me who does not understand Urdu. So I just thought about our last week's session and some changes that we can make. So, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, General Guidance, our program for the weekly session, and today what I'll be talking about is building on the previous week's session as well. Last week we talked about what is success and how success is related and defined with relying on Allah and also truly defining it in terms of hereafter and how we should define our goals and visions as per the Quran and Sunnah, inshallah. So today I have another topic. That's the name of the topic is a strong handhold, a strong support. So we always say that today, the times that we are living in, we want a strong support. So somebody tries to look for that support in their bosses, in their jobs, in their family, in their parents, or in their children, or in their college or universities, or their friends, or their professors. For some reason, one way or the other, you're looking for some kind of a support in your life because the times are so tough, and a human nature is that we need a very strong support. Because we are a social animal, we try to live together in a community, in a society, and we try to support each other. So we're always looking for that hand-holding and support or guidance that we need. So we try to find this support in different ways or in different people. But if you look at the Quran, and the topic that I've chosen as well, is the ayah that I find in Surah Muhammad, ayah number 22. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ومن يسلم وجهه إلى الله وهو محسن فقد استمسك بالعروة الوثقى وإلى الله عاقبة الأمور. So whoever submits his face to Allah, while he is a doer of good, then he has grasped the most trustworthy handholds. Like you're holding a strong hand and it will not let you go. This is the meaning of the word as well. When you say فَقَدْ اسْتَمْسَكَ بِالْعُرْوَةِ الْوُثْقَى, it's a very strong handhold that will not let you go. And it is the most trustworthy handhold. And to Allah will be the outcome of all matters. So he's saying that all the matters that are in your life, you don't need to worry about them. They all belong to Allah. Allah will take care of them for you, right? And when you rely on Allah, and when you turn towards Him, you're holding a very strong handhold and you have a very strong support system. It is a promise in the Quran that He will not let you go, that He will not need your support. But yet, we see in our lives that when we are praying 5 times, maybe the masjid or maybe in the house, we are fasting the Ramadan and everything else, but still things are not going the way they should be going. And I don't feel that support around me that should be there. It does not mean that all my wishes will be fulfilled all the time, but that I will always get what I want. That is not the meaning of this support. The support is not only the support in religion, but support in your personal life. If you read the tafsir, or if you understand the meaning behind this ayah, the support is in the times of fear, in the times of frustrations, in the times of tension, the support against the opposition that you're facing, the challenges that you're facing in life, the guidance and support that you need in the world, and that satisfaction of heart despite the failures or situations that we might be facing in our lives, right? And that satisfaction of heart and that peace of heart that we're looking for. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like He said in the last week that I discussed, that those who turn towards me will have no fear or grief over them. And that is a promise. You can have the wealth and children and everything, but you will struggle with achieving the fear or grief. So struggling against the fear and grief, right? So now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that I will give you a strong support, but there are certain conditions to this support that we need to understand, right? Because it is not like, okay, if I'm praying 5 times a day and I'm reciting a little bit of Quran and everything, so I deserve to get whatever I want, right? And similarly, I should have that peace of mind and heart. Because when you say that you worship Allah, it is like you're worshipping Him in all the facets of life, right? Everything in your life should be covering that angle. So I looked for the explanation that what should I do and how should I understand this support system? What is my responsibility and what is the responsibility? Then Allah will give you that responsibility of support. So I came across a very beautiful hadith which I want to share today. It is a long hadith, but I'll only cover a small part of it. It's an amazing hadith because if you go and see, a lot of scholars have written books on this one hadith. So the book that I refer to as well is written by Ibn Rajab al-Hanbali, is one of the pious predecessors, scholars. He wrote a whole book on this one hadith, just the explanation of it. And it's a very interesting book. It is called The Legacy of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in English. It is translated in English, The Legacy of the Prophet. So, and similarly, if you look at Shaykh Uthaymeen or Ibn Rajab or many other scholars have written sharah about this one hadith only. And it's an amazing hadith. It is something that you should have in your house, hanging on the wall in your room or in your office, wherever you are, most of the time, to remind you that what Allah has told you or He has promised you. So the Prophet ﷺ was once with Abdullah bin Abbas. Abdullah bin Abbas is the cousin of the Prophet ﷺ. He's the son of his uncle Abbas bin Abdul Muttalib. And Abdullah bin Abbas, when the Prophet ﷺ passed away, was only 13 years old. So when he passed away, he was only 13 years old. And he became the greatest mufassir of Quran, the greatest of the one who explained the Quran in the best way. And everybody that you talk to today or any tafsir that you read will have reference to Abdullah bin Abbas. So the Prophet ﷺ prayed for him, oh Allah, give him the understanding of the Quran, so Allah opened the Quran for him. So when the Prophet ﷺ passed away, he was only 13. So this event, this hadith, is at the time when he was only 10 or 11 years old, right? He was around 10 or 11 years. So 10 and 11 years old is a very small age with a child just growing up, about to enter into adulthood, about to enter into a new world, and things are changing. So the Prophet ﷺ, at one place I read that he was on a camel with Abdullah bin Abbas. Abdullah bin Abbas was sitting behind him, and he said, should I not advise you on something? So Abdullah bin Abbas said, yes, Ya Rasulullah, so why not? And this hadith is that advice of the Prophet ﷺ. Is that advice of the Prophet ﷺ. And this hadith that helps me answer the explanation of this strong handhold as well. So I'm trying to connect it with that, and we'll try to find some applications in life through this hadith that we can go and apply and really look at our lives as well, what is missing or what we are doing in the right way. So the hadith is this. It's a long hadith, I'm not going to read the whole thing. But Ibn Abbas says, قَالَ كُنْتُ خَلْفَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ. So one day I was behind the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam one day, and he said to me, فَقَالَ يَا غُلَامْ, oh boy, oh child, oh boy. The ghulam in Arabic is for the boy. It's not like the ghulam we have in Arabic and Urdu. Ghulam in Arabic means in a nice way saying, okay, mere pyare bache, oh child or something. Inni u'allimuka kalimatin, I will teach you some words. Inni u'allimuka bi kalimatin, I will teach you some words. Right? And what are those words? احفظ الله يحفظك. احفظ الله يحفظك. What does that mean? Safeguard Allah, and Allah will safeguard you. Now this is if you just read this translation, safeguard Allah and Allah will safeguard you, so Allah does not need my protection or security. So what does that mean? Safeguard Allah and Allah will safeguard you. Right? And then he says, احفظ Allah, safeguard Allah. You will find him in front of you. You will find him in front of you. So safeguard Allah, Allah will safeguard you. Safeguard Allah, you will find him in front of you. So what does that mean? We have to understand, right? And then the hadith goes on. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It says, سَأَلْتَ فَاسْأَلْ اللَّهِ وَإِذَا اسْتَعَنْتَ فَاسْتَعِنْ بِاللَّهِ. So if you ask for anything, ask only Allah. And if you seek help only from Allah. Right? So if you ask for anything, if you need anything, first ask Allah. So we should not be turning towards somebody, okay, you can help me, so you help me out, then you go and pray to Allah, oh Allah, help me out with this. No. You should first ask Allah. And if you need help, First, seek help of Allah. Even if there's a human being who can help you in that matter, make that your habit that first you should seek help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So that is the case. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then the Prophet says, وَعَلَمْ أَنَّ الْأُمَّةَ لَوْ اجْتَمَعَتْ عَلَىٰ أَنْ يَنْفَعُكَ بِشَيْءٍ لَمْ يَنْفَعُكَ إِلَّا بِشَيْءٍ. So know that if all the people were to gather together, right? If all the people of the world were to gather together and want to benefit you in some way, they will not be able to benefit you unless Allah has already ordained it for you. So the entire world can come together, all the superpowers and all the military powers can come together. The Prophet ﷺ is saying, and they try to help you, benefit you, they will not be able to benefit you unless Allah has written that benefit for you. And then the Prophet ﷺ says, قَدْ قَدَبَ اللَّهُ لَكَ. So if Allah has written it for you, وَلَوْ اجْتَمَعُوا عَلَىٰ أَنْ يَضُرُّكَ بِشَيْءٍ لَمْ يَضُرُّكَ إِلَّا بِشَيْءٍ. So if they were to gather together to harm you in any way, they will not be able to harm you إِلَّا بِشَيْءٍ قَدْ قَدَبَهُ اللَّهُ عَلَيْكَ. So that means except for what Allah has already written for you, they will be able to harm you. Otherwise the entire nations of the world cannot harm you. That is a very strong promise, right? قَدْ كَتَبَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْكَ رُفِعَتِ الْأَقْلَامُ وَجَفَّتِ الصُّحُفُ. Means what? The pens have been lifted, and the papers, suhuf, the sheets have been dried. So whatever was to be written has been written, the pen has been lifted, and the sheets have been dried. So this talks about the qadar. And so what I'll try to talk about today, because of our limited time, is just the first part of this hadith, and maybe we can cover the second part next week. So the first part, which is the most important part, is احفظ الله يحفظك. Right? The one in the red. احفظ الله يحفظك. Safeguard Allah, Allah will safeguard you. And this is the whole translation. This hadith is in Jami' Tirmidhi, hadith number 2516. It's a Hasan Sahih hadith. It is also in the 40 hadiths of Imam Nawawi. It is hadith number 19 in that. And there are hadiths on this in Musnad Ahmad as well. But there's some extra words. But what words I've given here are the Sahih, are the verified words which are there. There are some more words in there, but I've used the one which is the Sahih. Right? So be mindful of Allah or protect Allah. The translation says be mindful, but ihfad Allah, Allah ki hifazat karna. So Allah ki hifazat kare, Allah ki hifazat karega. So ihfaz, you know, the hifz or the hafaza means hifazat, right? So this is just English translation that be mindful of Allah. It should be safeguard Allah, Allah will safeguard you. So what does that mean to safeguard Allah? If I want the protection of Allah. So the muhaddithin, they did the sharah of this hadith, and they took out from the Quran some of the ayats which talk about protecting some of the things that Allah has asked us to protect. Allah has actually used the word of protection in many of His commands in the Quran. So they went and they looked into the Quran to try to understand the meaning behind these words and what are those things that I should safeguard. Because when you talk about safeguarding Allah, it is about not that I am protecting or securing Allah. It is about that I am safeguarding His commands, His prohibitions, or transgressing His limits. This is what safeguarding means. So these are the limits of Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Nisa in the Quran that these are the limits of Allah, so do not cross them. So like the Prophet ﷺ also said in one of the hadiths, that it is like you are, tending to your sheep near the border of the pasture of a king. You don't want your sheep to cross into that border, so you try to keep away. So stay away from the border of somebody else's land. So these are the limits and the land of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He has placed upon us in the Quran, in the Sunnah. So protecting and safeguarding those boundaries is what it means to safeguard Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we will see that it is not only safeguarding the ibadah in deen, it is more than that, right? So let's see what it means. So it's protecting self from sins or protecting the rights of Allah when He says the commands and the prohibitions. So doing what Allah has commanded us to do and to keep ourselves away from what Allah has commanded us from not doing, right? And to protect ourselves from the sins. So when you look at the muhaddithin, when they did the sharh of the hadith, they went into the Quran and they saw some of the ayat. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَالْحَافِظُونَ لِحُدُودِ اللَّهِ. So protect Protect, and those who observe the limits said wellness. Those are the ones who protect the limits of Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Tawbah, He says that in the Surah Nisa as well, protect the limits of Allah. So what are the limits of Allah, Ya Rab? What are your limits? So we try to answer that question. What are your limits that I should protect so that you will protect me? And what will you protect me in? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answers that as well. So we'll see that. And we can then compare our lives with what actions we need to draw. So first and the foremost thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks you to protect is not associating anybody with Him. That is shirk. Now shirk is a highly misunderstood word as well in our society. But shirk in a simple word is to associate anybody with Allah in three of His things. It is not only that you are worshipping Allah, that you are worshipping anybody else except for Allah. It is more than that. So Allah says, وَعْبُدُ اللَّهَ وَلَا تَشْرِكُوا بِهِ شَيْئًا. Worship only Allah, worship Allah, and do not associate anybody with Him. What does that mean, associating anybody with Him? When I was start studying Deen, I would only think that if I'm praying to somebody else, then it is a shirk. But it is more than that. Shirk can be done in three things. Number one, it is called Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, to take somebody else as your Rabb. Who is the Rabb? The one who is the cherisher, the sustainer, the provider, the one who grows you, feeds you, and takes care of you in your sickness and in all your situations. He is the Rabb, that He is there. So we say, Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, Rabb. Right, that is the word Rabb. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has used the word Rabb for parents as well. Rabbi irhamhuma kama rabbayani saghira. The Rabb is the one who nourishes you, who brings you up, who who is responsible for sustaining you. So number one, taking somebody else as your nourisher, as your sustainer, thinking that this is the person or this is the thing who is providing for me, who is taking care of me, is protecting me, that is also a form of shirk. Then we have Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah. Uluhiyyah means to take somebody else for worship. So making dua to somebody else, making sujood to somebody else, making ruku to somebody else, loving somebody else more than you love Allah. Even that is a form of associating somebody with Allah. And the third thing is Tawheed al-Asma wa-Sifat means to attribute the names and attributes of Allah to somebody else. So if you say that XYZ can listen to everything, then that is the attribute of Allah, that Allah is the Sami and Basir, the one who is seeing and hearing of everything. So to say that Mr. XYZ can also listen to whatever I'm saying, or he's present everywhere, or he's listening to everything, that is also like associating anything with Allah. So it's a big subject. I've tried to close it in a small note for you. Said it's in al-Rububiyyah, Uluhiyyah, or Asma Sifat, right? Names and attributes, or taking somebody else as your Ilah, or taking somebody else as your Rabb, and thinking that this job provides for me, this family provides for me. If I lose this job, I will lose everything. These are all thoughts that are actually taking you away from Allah. Allah is the one who has provided you that job. Allah is the one who has provided you that university. Allah is the one who is keeping your parents alive, so they are providing for you. And it does not mean that if your parents pass away, that you will also die. Allah will bring you up still. So the orphans also are brought up. So that is why to think that somebody else is providing for me and to depend on them, that is also right. So shirk, or to associate with others with Allah, is the first thing that we must protect. And we must look at ourselves, do I have these kind of thoughts about somebody? Do I think that somebody else is providing for me? Do I think that somebody else I'm worshipping or loving more than Allah? So Allah says in the Quran, they love Allah, they love others more than they should love Allah. More than they should love Allah, right? And Allah is more deserving of their love. So similarly, to give the names and attributes, and you find that in our lives as well. So we can only study about Aqidah to understand what shirk is. The other thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about is Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. He says in Surah Qaf, هَذَا مَا تُوعَدُونَ لِكُلِّ أَوَّابٍ حَفِيظٍ مَنْ خَشِيَ الرَّحْمَنَ بِالْغَيْبِ وَجَاءَ بِقَلْبٍ مُنِيبٍ. The ones who fear Allah when they're alone, or who fear Allah alone, meaning only Him that they fear. So this is also protecting the hudud of Allah, meaning when I'm alone, what do I do? When I'm alone, how much fear of Allah do I have? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that this is what you were promised. What were you promised? Just before this ayah, Allah talks about Jannah. So I have made Jannah for the muttaqeen people. So He is saying, I have promised this Jannah for those, for every returner to Allah. Who is a returner to Allah? What does the word awwab means? The one who does tawbah. The one who turns back to Allah. Oh Allah, forgive me, I'm repenting, right? And Hafiz is the one who protects the hadood of Allah. That means he protects the laws of Allah, the commands of Allah, that you understand. And man khashya rahman bil ghayb, meaning that they fear Allah and the unseen. They have not seen Allah, but yet they fear Him. Nobody can see them, yet they fear Allah. And similarly, they only fear Allah more than anybody else. So fearing Allah also, that is also a form of ibadah. So ibadah is about love and fear and hope. Who do you have things from? So they only fear Allah, and they fear Allah when they're even alone. So they protect the hadood of Allah, the limits of Allah when they're alone. Right? So that is also something very important that we must think and that we have to look for. The other thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about is, and this ayah is in 2 places in the Quran. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَلَىٰ صَلَاتِهِمْ يُحَافِظُونَ. They protect their prayers. They protect their prayers. What does the protection of prayer means? It is not only praying on time. The muhaddiseen or the mufassirin, they say that protecting the prayer means that you pray on time, that you pray in jama'ah, that you pray with the right wuzu, in purification, in right clothes, in a clean place, and fulfill all the rights of the khushu and the requirements of the prayer. So your whole attention in the prayer is towards Allah. I'm not thinking about anything else. Nothing else is coming to my mind. And I'm also focusing on Allah at that time. I'm wearing good clothes when I'm going to the masjid. I do my wuzu in the proper way. I take care of my internal and external purification. I take care of the purification of the place where I'm praying. I take care of the manasik of namaz, or the arkan of namaz, or the wajibat of the namaz. How do I have to pray? And the actions are right. I pray in a nice, in a way that is steady and in a not very fast way. These are all things which belong to protecting the prayers. So I need to look at my prayers. How am I praying? Do I pray in a very quick way? I just say Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi, and I run away? Do I do askar? Do I take care of my purification? Do I do my wuzu in the proper way? Do I do wuzu in the way that I should be doing? And all these things are yuhafizun Ali. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَلَىٰ صَلَاتِهِمْ يُحَافِظُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says this ayah in Surah Ma'arij and Surah Mu'min. In Surah Mu'min, the first page, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explains the characteristics of Mu'min people. And in this we find this ayah that they are the ones who protect their prayers. It is not only they observe their prayers, they protect their prayers. And protection of something is not only that thing that you're protecting, it is also the things around that thing that you're protecting, so that this is not compromised. So protection is about all those actions which can lead towards compromise of that particular ibadah or anything that you're doing. So that is a protection. So you say, I'm protecting my studies. By protecting my studies, I mean, it's not only that I'm studying, but actually I'm sleeping on time, I have a schedule, I have a timetable to follow. I'm protecting my schedule at job. So it's not only about reaching office on time, it is also waking up on time, sleeping on time, having full rest. These are all protections, because otherwise something will affect my mind and I will not be able to perform in my job. Right? حافظوا على الصلوات والصلاة الوسطى وقوموا لله قانتين. Allah says they maintain with care the obligatory prayers. So protect your obligatory prayers, especially the Asr prayer. Why the Asr prayer? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about here, because the ulama say that Asr is the time when your business transactions are at the peak. Your markets are closing or about to close, you're reaching the end of your work day, you have to get your things done, you have to finish your work, whether you're in the office or whether you're in the market or in the store or anywhere else. And at that time when the muazzin calls, Hayya ala salah, do you leave those things and go for prayer, or you leave or you don't? So that is why you see Asr prayer is especially explicitly mentioned in the Quran. Salatul Wusta, the middle prayer. And the Mufassirin, they agree that this is the Asr prayer that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about, because that is a peak time. So the Fajr time is the time when you are in deep sleep and you leave that bed for Allah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praises those people. Then Asr prayer is the time when you are at the peak of the worldly matters and you leave those worldly matters and you go for namaz. And so the ulama say the one who protects its Fajr and Asr will be easy. It will be easy for them to offer their Zohar and Maghrib and Isha prayers, right? So Asr and Fajr, and we need to see that how we are doing in that. So that is also part of safeguarding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَذَلِكَ كَفَّارَةُ أَيْمَانِكُمْ إِذَا حَلَفْتُمْ وَاحْفَظُوا أَيْمَانَكُمْ. Protect your oaths. The Prophet ﷺ told us 4 signs of a hypocrite, a munafiq, about whom Allah SWT said that they are in the deeper holes of hell than the kuffar. So munafiq has 4 signs. Can you guess what those 4 signs are? What would those 4 signs be for a hypocrite? When he speaks, he tells a lie. When he promises, he breaks his promise. Excellent. G. And when he is given an amana, so he is treacherous. So when he is given a trust, he is treacherous. Now the trust is not only that I give you my phone, okay, please keep it with you, and then you take away my phone, or I give you my money and you take away my money. No. Trust is also the responsibility that you have in the job as per your contract. So the job says 9 to 5, you have to do some work. And while in that time you're doing something else, that is also being treacherous with your amana. And we don't talk about that. That is exactly our namaz and our worship increases in our office times and it decreases in our personal times. This is not right. So even the ulama explain that treacherous being any contract that you have. You have a marriage contract, you have a job contract, you have any other kind of contract, you're treacherous with that, that is a sign of hypocrite. So he breaks his promises, he's treacherous with the trust, he lies a lot, and whenever he argues, he is abusive in his tone and his language. He uses abusive words. Those people जो गालियाँ वगैरह बहुत ज़्यादा देना, हर लड़ाई के अंदर बस जब कुछ समझ में नहीं आई, they would give, use all kind of bad words. This is a sign of hypocrisy. The Prophet ﷺ said, if you have one of these things, then you have a sign of hypocrisy inside of you. Fix that. If you have all 4 things and you have complete signs of hypocrisy inside of you, fix it before you join the munafiqeen in the day of judgment, about whom Allah SWT says that they are in the deeper holes of hell than the kuffar, because kuffar is less dangerous, because a kafir is, we know that he's a kafir, but a munafiq, he says that I am a Muslim, I follow Islam, but he's not a Muslim. But these 4 signs are for amali munafiq. These are munafiq by amal. So we don't say that, they'll be kafir or something like that. No, we don't say that. These are signs of actions that we have inside of us. Then there's a munafiq by aqidah. That is a dangerous thing. That means I truly don't believe there is Allah, but I tell you that I believe there is Allah. So that is aqidah. That's different. This is by action. Because my actions are not translating through my belief. If I truly believe that I will meet Allah one day, there will be a hereafter, then I will be very careful when speaking a lie, when breaking a promise, when being treacherous with my contract, because Allah is watching me. So these are also protections of the limits of Allah. Then Allah says, "Al-yawma uhilla lakum at-tayyibat." So eating good food. So Allah says, protect your stomach. Eat good food. Don't eat haram. Haram is those things that you're not able to eat, you're not allowed to eat, or even those things which are not earned in the right way. So if you're earning riba or interest, we're eating interest, which is a common thing right now in our society, that is haram. And it is going into your stomach. So the Prophet ﷺ told us that a person will travel towards the Kaaba with his hair filled with dust, with his clothes, filled with dust, and his feet tired and exhausted, and he will reach the Kaaba and he will say, Ya Rabbi, Ya Rabbi, Ya Rabbi, oh my Lord, oh my Lord. And Allah SWT says, how will I listen to one whose stomach is filled with haram, whose clothes are filled with haram, and whose drink is filled with haram? So everything is haram. So how will I answer this prayer? So your prayers are not answered if you're eating haram, if you're eating riba, if you're eating interest, and that is also protection of your stomach. Then Allah says, Inna sam'a wal basara wal fu'ada kullu ulaika kana anhu mas'ula. Indeed, the hearing, the sight, and the heart, all of them you will be questioned about. What you hear, what you look at, and what your heart incline you to do, and then you act upon it. You will be questioned about all these things. So the Prophet ﷺ said, if you guarantee me the protection of what is between your 2 lips and between your 2 legs, I will guarantee you Jannah. So your private parts and your tongue. My tongue, how much backbiting am I doing? How much against people I'm talking? How much slandering am I doing? In my political ways, in my other ways, whether it's even political leaders, anybody, I'm slandering and I'm backbiting and I'm talking against people and I'm spreading rumors and I'm creating fight between brothers and sisters. Allah SWT, He says that it is one of the biggest sins, backbiting. It's like eating the meat of your dead brother. And then protecting your private parts as well. that you don't watch, hear, do or see things that incline you towards using it in the wrong way. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about it. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَوْمَ تَشْهَدُ عَلَيْهِمْ أَلْسِنَتُهُمْ وَأَيْدِيهِمْ وَأَرْجُلُهُمْ بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. Because your hands and your feet will witness that day for you. Allah will close your mouth and will ask your hands and your feet to talk, and they will then witness against what they did. So Allah says in the Quran, they did not know that all these things, the entire body of the person was watching him. You yourself are a witness against yourself. So the person will say to his hands, why are you saying against this me? So the hand will say, and it is in the Quran, that Allah made me speak today. Right? So these are also protected. Tell all the people to lower their gaze. So if I'm not lowering my gaze and I'm looking at things that I should not be looking at, and I'm looking at things in the TV or on the internet or on the road or on the streets, I'm not protecting the rights of Allah. And similarly, وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِفُرُوجِهِمْ حَافِظُونَ, again it's al-mu'minun, they protect their private parts. Again and again Allah is talking about that. Your eyes, your ears, your heart, and your private parts. Lower your eyes. Why is he saying lower your eyes? Because lowering your eyes will only bring a control over that inclination that we have. And today we are living in that fitna, the time that your eyes are very difficult for you to protect. But that is the test that we are living in. And these are the hadood of Allah that we have to take care of. So these are some of the things. Number one, protecting yourself from shirk. Number two, taking care of your oaths and promises. Number three, taking care of what you're eating, what you're wearing. Number four, taking care of your eyes and your ears, what you're watching, what you're listening, and what you're saying, your tongue, and your private parts as well, that how you're using and what you're watching and how you're inclined. All these things come under safeguarding of Allah. So when he says, ihfadallah, it means protecting all these things. These are the rights. And protecting your prayers. Protecting your prayers as well. So protecting your prayers and all the obligatory deeds and your actions and your eyesight and your ears and your tongue. The whole thing should protect it. So what will Allah do for me then? So he says, يَحْفَظْكَ, He will protect you. He will safeguard you. How will Allah safeguard me? I can think of many ways. But Allah gives us some examples in the Quran that how Allah safeguards us. Right? So how Allah safeguards us is, it's through our health, our wealth, our children, our desires and doubts. And protection in life after death is at the time of the death, is in the grave, is on the day of judgment, is from the fire of hell. So protection in health, because the ulama will tell us that your health, your wealth, and your children will act in a way, the way you have the relationship with Allah. So one of the Salaf Salih would say that when I sin, I can see the consequence of that sin in my wife and my donkey. It's donkey, the transport medium. So if my car is shutting down again and again, if I'm having accidents again and again, if my wife is not listening to me the right way, if my wife is arguing with me a lot, if my children are arguing with me a lot, if my children are not behaving the right way with me, if people do not turn towards me, and the people I want to please are not being pleased with me, I need to check my relationship with Allah. That is how the ulama, they connected with that. Because you will see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِن تَنْصُرُوا اللَّهَ يَنْصُرْكُمْ وَيُثَبِّتْ أَقْدَامَكُمْ. If you help Allah, Allah will help you. What do you mean helping Allah? Helping the deen of Allah, helping spreading the deen of Allah, the hudood of Allah, the limits of Allah, your eyesight, your ears, all those things I talked about before. Allah will help you. What will you help me in, Ya Allah? I will help you in everything that you need, your tensions, your frustrations, protecting you from sin. So if I'm sinning a lot, if my desires are weak, and I give up very easily, I find pleasure in sinning, I need to check my relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Allah protects you from your desires and doubts as well. So He says, فَاذْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرْكُمْ. Remember me, I will remember you. Allah, the Prophet ﷺ told us that when you remember Allah in private, Allah remembers you in private. When you remember Allah in people, Allah remembers you in creation, which is better than those people. So when you remember Allah, Allah will remember you. Imagine that. When you're saying Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Allah is remembering you. So Allah is not absent from you. Allah is not away from you. Then, so fulfill my covenant upon you, and I will fulfill my covenant upon you. My covenant from Allah is that I'll enter into paradise. And your covenant is the rules and laws that I've laid upon you. So when we think that it is only namaz, it is only praying, it is only that will bring me success, no, it is the entire lifestyle that I have to change. Only then I'm doing ihfad Allah, protecting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then says, لَهُ مُعَقِبَاتٌ مِّن بَيْنِ يَدَيْهِ وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِ يَحْفَظُونَهُ مِنْ أَمْرِ اللَّهِ. For him are successive angels, Allah says in the Quran. Do you know how many angels a person has around him or her? What do you think? How many angels do we have around us?
Permanently two.
Permanently two on the right and left. وَعَنْ يَمِينِ وَعَنْ شِمَالِ, two right and left, and one in front of you, one in the back of you, and one with you, constantly telling you to do good. So there are 5. If you see cartoons, you will find that small angel on the shoulder of the person telling them, "Oh, do this good, do this good." So that's actually a real thing. I don't know if that angel is like that, but there are 5, and you have only one devil with you. You have only one devil with you that is inciting you towards evil. So every person has 5 angels and one devil, one shaitan. But the thing is, if a house has pictures in it, if a house has a dog in it, then these 2 protecting angels and this one who whispers good to me goes away. Does not enter with me. So it does not enter with you in the washroom. That is why you don't talk in the washroom. That is why you try to be protected. That is why you recite the dua Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-khubuthi wal khaba'is when you enter into the washroom, because the angels don't enter there. Yes, these 2 are with you all the time because they have to be with you. But the other 3, they leave you with their dogs in the house. In the house means in your room, not as a protection dog. And similarly, you have pictures, or you have, God forbid, alcohol, or if you have music and these kind of things. If you have pictures of the women who are not mahram to you, if the TV is always on with those women who are not mahram to you, even if that is a news that you're watching, then those angels will not be around you. If those angels are not around you, you will find more arguments happening in the house, you will have more frustrations in the house, you will see more anger in the house, you will see more things happening in the house while that house is still praying 5 times a day. Why is that happening? Because of this. It's not only about 5 times prayer. ثُمَّ رَدَدْنَاهُ أَسْفَلَ سَافِلِينَ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ فَلَهُمْ أَجْرٌ غَيْرُ مَمْنُونٍ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, when the old age comes, they become the weakest of the weak, and you can't protect yourself from old age, right? But they become the weakest of the weak, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, except for those who do good deeds and who believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they will have reward uninterrupted. So, in your old age, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protects you. So one of the Salaf, he was on a boat. Right, one of the pious predecessors of the scholars from the older times, he was on a boat and he jumped from the boat on the ground. He was 81 years old, and the people told him, "What did you do? You will hurt yourself." He said, "I protected these bones and this body in my youth for Allah. Allah will protect these bones and body for me when I'm old." So if you want health, if you want strength in your bones, if you want strength in your muscles, if you want strength in your health and energy, even when you're growing old, Allah, protect and safeguard the protection of Allah. No medicine will give you that. You will find so many scholars who are 80, 90, 100 years old, and they are teaching and they're walking around and they're doing everything. How are they doing that? We say because they are Allah, they're protecting the rights of Allah, they have the taqwa of Allah. And while on the other hand, you will see a person with cars and cars parked outside, but they are on 10 types of medications, right? So I'm not judging somebody, but I'm just telling you the consequence and the reason, because we have forgotten about these reasons. We always try to find some kind of a scientific reason for things, but there's always an action. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَكَانَ أَبُوهُمَا صَالِحًا. This is in Surah Kahf. In Surah Kahf, that we should recite every Friday, if you see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about 2 orphan children. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I protected these orphan children when the story of Musa and Khizr. If you've read the story of Musa and Khizr, the Khizr alayhi salam, he fixes the wall of a city. The Musa says, "Why did you fix this wall? They are not paying us anything, they're not giving us anything." So he said, because under this wall is a treasure left behind by a man who was righteous. 2 children right now who are young. So Allah wants them to grow up and have that treasure. He did not say these children are righteous. He said that father was righteous. So when you are righteous, Allah will protect your children behind you. Allah will make sure that you have a children who will remember you and make prayers for you. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, this is a very amazing ayah, the next one. فَلَا تُعْجِبْكَ أَمْوَالُهُمْ وَلَا أَوْلَادُهُمْ إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيُعَذِّبَهُمْ بِهَا فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. So do not be impressed by their wealth and children. Do not be impressed by their wealth and their children. So people say, this guy never prays, he has so much money, he has so many cars, politicians and all these people. Allah says, I only give it to them so that I could punish them through them in this worldly life. How many people you have seen who have worked hard on their kids to send them to the topmost universities, but unfortunately have not taught them deen, and they come back and only harm their parents, even by not being around them when the time of death of the parent comes. Right? So Allah says, I have only given it to them so they can punish. I can punish them in the world life. So do not be impressed by so-called wealth and children of the people who do not worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah says, I only give it to them to punish them. Because if this was the criteria, then the Prophet ﷺ would have had many sons, and the Prophet ﷺ would have had many treasures. He had no sons, only 2 sons who passed away while they were very young, and he had no treasures left behind. Right? So this is not the criteria for Allah loving us. In fact, it is Allah testing you, because Allah says that, like I talked last week as well, that your children and your wealth are a fitna, are a test for you. How do you behave? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that again, وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. Beautiful ayah, Surah Talaq. So those who fear Allah, yani who safeguard Allah, Allah, He will make a way out for them and provide for them from where they did not even expect. And look at your lives, you will find that in your lives. You found help from Allah when you made dua where you never expected it from. It is a promise of Allah. Beautiful ayah, Surah Talaq, first page, so ayah number 2 and 3, that if you fear Allah, Allah will find a way out for you. So if you are tensed in your life right now, if you are worried in your life right now, if you can't find a way in your life right now, Allah will find a way for you if you only protect His limits. So I try to please Him and her, and I leave Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will never be happy with me. But if I only hold on to Allah, everybody will be happy with me. Simple as that. وَكَذَلِكَ لِنَصْرِفَ عَنْهُ السُّوءَ وَالْفَحْشَاءَ إِنَّهُ مِنْ عِبَادِنَا الْمُخْلَصِينَ. This is from Surah Yusuf. In Surah Yusuf, if you have read the tafsir, Surah Yusuf alayhi salam was seduced by a beautiful woman. And she says, Haytala, come over. And he had all the arrangements for that. But he says, Ma'az Allah, I fear Allah. And that is why the Prophet ﷺ said that one of the 7 people who would be under the shade of Allah on the day of judgment will be a young man who was invited by a beautiful woman, and he said, I fear Allah. Only this one action will take that man under the shade of Allah, because it is a very difficult action. And this is also for us, all the invitations that we have on the internet, all the invitations that we have in our universities or colleges or offices and everywhere else. I say, Ma'azallah, I fear Allah. And so Allah protected him. Allah said, I protected him. We averted from his evil and immorality. So if I am finding sin easily to do, if sin is coming very easily towards me, and I'm not able to control myself, it is because the protection of Allah is not there. Even in that, I'm dependent on Allah. And why that protection is not there? Because I'm not protecting the rights of Allah. Either it's my stomach, my eyes, my ears, my tongue, my namaz, my oath, all those things that I talked about before. So I need to check all those things. So you ask yourself, I pray 5 times a day, but yet I sin. I pray 5 times a day, yet I sin. Why do I sin when I pray 5 times a day? Because I'm not protecting the limits of Allah. It is more than namaz. It is outside the namaz what you're doing. You will still keep sinning. So I read somewhere by Imam Ibn Qayyim, and the namaz time is also coming, Imam Ibn Qayyim, that he said, you can still love Allah. You can still love Allah, but you will sin. And why is that? Because you're not glorifying Him or exalting Him like you should. And what does that mean? That means you don't have the fear of Him or the sincerity of your actions for Him. When you go and do your namaz, maybe you're not doing it sincerely for Allah. Maybe it's for your father that I'm doing it. Maybe it's for somebody else that I'm doing it. Or some other action that I do. So it's not sincerity that you have. So you might still love Allah, you can still sin. You can still sin. And that is the most amazing thing that I read. That we need to be sincere towards Allah. Keep our hearts sincere. So Allah says, I will protect you. I averted from Him evil. Because Allah says elsewhere in the Surah Yusuf, وَلَقَدْ حَمَّتْ بِهِ وَحَمَّ بِهَا. That means he was inclined towards her and she was inclined towards him. So Yusuf al-Islam is saying he was inclined because he was a young man. But Allah says, I protected him. وَكَذَلِكَ نَصْرِفَ السُّوءَ وَالْفَحْشَاءَ. That I protected him. Why did you protect him, Ya Allah? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Yusuf, he was one of the muhsineen. He was one of the doers of good. He protected my rights. Similarly, look at Yunus al-Islam. When Yunus al-Islam went away on the boat, he went into the stomach of a fish, right? So that's why he said, La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu minaz zalimin. Allah protected him, took him out of the fish. But Allah says in the Quran, had he not been the one who remembers us and praises us at that time when things were good, we would have left him in the stomach of the fish until the day of judgment. So when you are doing good in your times of ease, Allah will not forget you in the times of difficulty. Right? Similarly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يُثَبِّتُ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا بِالْقَوْلِ الثَّابِتِ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ. I will protect them not only in dunya but in akhirah as well. So I will provide them the kalima at the time of their death. I will provide them ease at the time of their death. I will provide them, because I was listening to one of the scholars who is a doctor as well. He said, I work in an emergency ward of a hospital, and I see so many patients who come to us and we say, kalma pade, we recite the kalma. But rarely are people able to recite kalma, because when that heart attack comes, when that medication comes, when that situation comes, your tongue does not move. So it is not easy to say La ilaha illallah at the time of death. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يُثَبِّتُ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا بِالْقَوْلِ الثَّابِتِ. What is bilqawli sabit? It is the kalima of Allah. So I will help them say the kalima at the time of death if they live by that kalima at the time of this world. So remember me while you're healthy, I will not forget you at the time of sickness. نَحْنُ أَوْلِيَاؤُكُمْ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ وَلَكُمْ فِيهَا مَا تَشْتَهِي أَنفُسُكُمْ وَلَكُمْ فِيهَا مَا تَدَّعُونَ. These are the angels who are saying to that person that when we come down to you, we were your protectors. So at the time of the death, we might be looking at a person, he seems to be in pain, but actually the angels console him. And they say, we were your protectors at that time. Don't worry about it right now. And the person is at ease, and the spirit goes out at ease. And so the hereafter, you will have therein whatever your soul desires, and you will have therein whatever you request or wish, whatever you desire. So Allah will make you firm on that time. Because the people say, the shaitan makes his last attack, the biggest attack at the time when your soul is coming out. So it is famous about Ahmad bin Handhold, rahimahullah, that his son, Abdullah bin Ahmad, I think his name was, he was saying to his father, and Ahmad bin Handhold, one of the four imams, one of the senior people, he was saying, oh my father, say La ilaha illallah, oh my father, say La ilaha illallah. And Ahmad bin Handhold said, not now, not now, not now. And he was going into unconsciousness and consciousness. When he came back, his son said, why are you saying not now? He said, because the shaitan came to me and he said, Ahmad, you are out of my hands. And I said, not now, not now. Even until this soul reaches its throat, the shaitan is after you. So that is why you see a lot of people when they're dying, they claim that they see their dead relatives, that I can see this, that, I can see that person, because it is said that shaitan can come in different faces to you and say, it can come in the form of your grandfather who has passed away and say, all this hell and paradise, it's all fake. I've seen it. It doesn't exist. So Allah will make you firm on that. So there are a lot of fitnas at the time of death. Shaitan comes to you, angels come to you, things are happening, your soul is... So you need Allah's support at that time. No doctor can help you at that time. And only if you protect Allah's rights, Allah will help you. So the conclusion in the end is, in summary, whoever safeguards the limits of Allah, Allah will safeguard the limits that are set for them. So Allah says, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, إِحْفَظَ اللَّهِ يَحْفَظْكَ. Protect Allah, Allah will protect you. And by protecting Allah again, it is about the signs of hypocrisy, the namaz, the oath, the relationships, being just and not following the signs of the hypocrites, and similarly, protecting your oaths and your promises and your trust that is upon you, your eyes, your ears, your private parts, your stomach. And if something wrong happens, you turn to Allah. And you will see people turning towards you. You will see life becoming easier. You will see that things becoming easier. But if you find in your life difficulty, if you find in your life that even if your car is having a lot of accidents, the Alimah say, look at your relationship with Allah. Even if people are, that boss that you're trying to please, but he is always after you, look at your relationship with Allah. Even that relative that you're trying to please, but he's always fighting with you. That brother and sister that are always fighting with you. That children who are not obeying you. Even so much that you're doing for them, look at your relationship with Allah. And by Allah, I can tell you, if you look at it in the secret, you will find something in your life which is happening, which is angering Allah. So Allah is showing that anger through your child, through your wife, through your car, through your transport, through your job, through your health, through your medication, through your tension, through your economic situations. Look at Pakistan right now, even the floods and the corona and the COVID and the inflations and the economic rates. That's all the signs of our amal as a nation. We cannot absolve ourselves from that. So the point in the end, the conclusion is, if you protect the rights of Allah, not only in our actions, in our worship, but overall, spiritually, Allah will protect us even from sins, from desires, from the bad company, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us a right path all the way towards the day we die, and at the time of the death also Allah will protect us and will enter us into paradise. That is what Allah wants. But Allah wants you to protect His rights as well. It cannot be that I don't want to take care of Allah's rights, but I want Allah to do everything for me. So, ihfaz Allah, yahfazka. Inshallah, in the next week we can carry on with this this next part of the hadith, or we can do another topic as well. But this was a very beautiful hadith. I'll share the slides as well, inshallah, in the WhatsApp group. And I hope that we will be able to learn, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable me first to act upon it and to really live by it. And may Allah ta'ala make these words a witness for me on the day of judgment, not against me, and for all of us as well who are sitting here and who are listening to us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us to protect His rights. And Allah will protect our rights. You can protect the rights of 10 people around you. I want to make my mother happy, my father happy, my child happy, my wife happy, my boss happy, my uncle happy, my auntie happy. They will never be happy unless Allah is not happy with you. That is the promise of Allah, and it is a very simple and easy formula. To make Him happy is the easiest thing. To make anybody else happy is the most difficult thing. Subhanallah wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.